There we go, buddy. How you doing,
There,
man?
the links you guys will go to keep me from talking.
Ah, never, never, never.
And I did, I went on the calendar link and there was no Zoom link. I'm like, well, of course I waited way too close to the meeting time. So, that's on me, but how you guys doing? It's good to see you. Ronnie, good to see you, brother. Anton.
Yeah,
Good, man. How about you?
A lot of faces, I know.
Yeah. No, man. We're excited. We're just letting some people kind of straggle in.
Sure.
We typically give it a few minutes afterwards and just kind of let, some folks kind of get in. But thank you for participating and hopping on. Hope to see you. I think you're coming to Houston, right?
Yeah, the next mastermind's in Houston.
Yeah.
I want to make it easy on you deadbeats,
I was like, man, oh, well, that's only like right down the road.
I don't think there's any excuses for that one, right?
There's none, man. There's absolutely not one. Yeah. Well, cool. Well, I guess maybe we can go ahead and kick it off. Let people kind of, they'll straggle in as needed. But Ferris, you want to go ahead and kick it off, man?
Let's go ahead and do this, I guess. So welcome everybody to the 30th, I just made up that number, inaugural Texas MFM event. For those of you that hopped on for the first time, we do this every month, right? Once COVID, kicked off, we decided to basically consolidate the two Texas groups and do a virtual meetup. And so with that, we have the Texas Online virtual event that we've been doing. And so I'll go ahead and introduce the Houston team. I'll let the Dallas team introduce themselves, and then I will introduce Rod. And so for those that don't know me, I'm Ferris, one of the managing partners at Disrupt Equity. We are a vertically integrated company. We have our own in-house management as well as acquisitions that we kind of focus on Texas and Georgia. And here, coming up soon, Florida as well is another market we're going to expand in. We're looking to buy the closest apartment to Rod and, update it.
And put in some deadbeats, right?
You bet. So with that said, I'll hand it over to my partner, Ben.
Hey, everybody. Ben Suttles. I am the co-founder of Disrupt Equity, as Ferris had mentioned. What else can I say? But we love to buy apartments. We love networking. We're proud to, obviously grow this, virtual event. We do this every month with our counterparts out in DFW. Have a lot of great speakers like Mr. Rod Khleif that we're going to have tonight. But stay around afterwards. We'll do a little bit of breakouts. Not going to do much, but that's really where a lot of the magic happens. So, don't hop off right after Rod's, presentation, and stick around and maybe make that connection. I always tell people the way that me and Ferris met was 5 years ago at the meetup that I created in Houston, which we're actually hosting tomorrow. So this stuff works, folks. And I think Rod can attest to that too. He loves networking, he loves putting on events. So there's power in that connections. So I'll go ahead and, I guess hand it off to Ronnie up in DFW.
Hey everyone, my name is Ronnie Phillip. I'm with the Kingly Group. We're a real estate private equity firm based in Dallas, Texas. We focus on Class A new development multifamily across the Sunbelt region. Bought and sold 572 units, and really happy that everyone here is on. We do this every month, so if y'all could below, put in the chat where y'all are from, so that way we know where the audience is from. And I'm super excited to have Rod present. You don't want to miss this, and be sure to stay till the end for networking event, breakout rooms. And I'll put my info in the chat if y'all want to reach out to me. Feel free, and I'll pass it over to Anton.
Thanks, Ronnie. Hi, everyone. Anton Madley, co-founder and CEO of Peak Financing. We arrange financing for commercial real estate across the country. We help a lot of syndicators with their deals, including multifamily. And together with Ronnie and John, we are the Dallas chapter for MFM. So we always happy to do meetups here. We haven't done physical meetups in more recent history, but we try to crank that up again. And in the meantime, obviously, we are doing it together with that virtual event once per month with our colleagues in Houston. So let me pass it on to John.
Thanks, Anton. John Montero, based here in Frisco, Texas, just north of Dallas. Also multifamily owner, operator, and developer. Currently, we total 9,000 units active and sold, all in Texas. We focus on DFW, San Antonio, Austin, Houston, and the surrounding submarkets. We are also doing ground up construction in multifamily, over 1,500 units in various stages of the development process. Actually partnering up with Ferris and Ben on one of them in the Houston market that's coming out of the ground right now. Super exciting. And just happy to be here. Thanks for everyone taking the time. Excited to hear what Rod has to share with the group. And I'll just end with echoing Ben and Ferris talking about networking. It's super important. This is actually my 4th event in 3 days. I did 3 live events, 2 in Austin, 1 here in Frisco last night, and this virtual one. So networking works. You never know who you're going to run into and find good connections and good partnerships. So I'll hand it back over to Ben.
John,
Good to see you, John. Good to see your face, brother. 9,000 doors.
Yeah.
Holy crap. Wow. Good for you, buddy.
And only 4 events this week. Come on, shame on you. You're slacking this week, man. You're slacking. But no, yeah, we'll have Ferris kick it off, and we'll get into the good stuff tonight.
All right. Well, that said, thank you guys very much. Rod, thank you for being here. It's always a pleasure. I think we're definitely excited. I know a lot of people have heard you and a lot of people maybe not. So I think there's some new faces here. And if you haven't heard Rod speak, always a great presentation. So Rod, I want to go ahead and hand it over to you and let you kind of go ahead and run the show.
All right. Well, thanks for having me, guys. It's way past my bedtime. So if I nod off, please forgive me. But yeah, so let's see. Let me just, for those of you who don't know who I am, give you a real quick background. So I immigrated this country when I was 6 years old. I was born in the Netherlands, wooden shoes and windmills. We ended up in Denver, Colorado. Really struggled initially. My mom babysat kids so we'd have enough money to eat. And with her babysitting money, can you guys see me, or am I seeing are you just seeing the MFM logo? Can you see me talking?
Yeah,
We're good. We're good. Okay. All right. Good. It just messed up on mine. I don't know how to do the view. Well, anyway, so, we struggled. My mom babysat kids so we'd have enough money to eat. And, she became a bit of an entrepreneur with her babysitting money. She invested in the stock market successfully, but then she just started investing in real estate. She bought the house across the street when I was about 30. I'm sorry, for about 30, when I was about 14, for about 30 grand. This is 1974. And then when I was 17, she told me she'd made $20,000 in her sleep on that house. And I'm like, okay, forget college. I'm getting into real estate. So I got my real estate broker's license right when I turned 18, which you could do back then with education. Now they got smart and you need some experience, but I was a real estate broker. And well, my first year in real estate, I made about 8 grand. My second year, maybe 10 grand. But my third year made over $100,000. And so what happened between year 2 and year 3 that caused me to 10x my income? Well, what happened was I met a guy, I was actually dating his daughter, that taught me about the importance of mindset and psychology and how really 80 to 90% of your success in anything, in life, in relationship, and certainly in business is your mindset and your psychology. Only 10 to 20% is the mechanical information, the real estate stuff that we talk about ad nauseum. But it's really, mindset and taking action with what you learn. Fast forward to now, I've owned a couple thousand houses. I've rented long-term, thousands of apartment units. In 2006, my net worth went up $17 million while I slept. And you might be like, wow. And I was like, wow. And, that was like $8,300 an hour if you do the math on it, which of course I did, so I could brag about it. But I got a head so big, I could barely fit it through a door. And I thought I was a real estate god. Well, when that happens, God or the universe will give you a nice little smack. Well, that was 2008. In 2008, I lost 50 million bucks. And so, I lost it all. And so one of the things I talk about, I'm blessed to host the largest commercial real estate podcast really in the world now. We're pushing 13 million downloads. And one of the things that I talk about, of course, is the mindset it took to have 50 million to lose in the first place, but then a mindset it took to get back to the success that I'm blessed to enjoy today. And so I want to talk about that a little bit with you guys. Now, we can talk about real estate, but I'm here to tell you really the topic that I'm going to talk about tonight's more important, because if you don't take action with what you learn, you're never going to enjoy the benefits of real estate. You've got to be able to push through fear. You've got to be able to push through maybe limiting beliefs that you might have, or maybe you're comfortable And the comfort zone's a warm place, and we all know nothing freaking grows there, right? So let's talk about it a little bit. If you come to one of my boot camps, I just had 800 people in Orlando, and I'm going to have about 1,000 in Denver at the end of July. And I'll tell you guys how you can come real cheap. I'll give you guys a phenomenal deal if you want to come. But one of the first things we do is a goal setting workshop on steroids. Okay. The first hour and a half is goal setting. Why? Because how the hell are you going to get anything if you don't know what it is, right? You've got to know what you want. You've got to know with clarity. Okay. And then you've got to know why you want it. So that's why that's one of the first things we do is like I call it goal setting on steroids. And it's an hour and a half. And if you don't want to come to one of my events, if you DM me on any social channel. They've even got me on TikTok now. I couldn't spell TikTok 4 months ago. But if you DM me on any social channel and say, send me your goal setting link. I did it on January 1st on my Facebook page, and it's with music, and you get a downloadable guide, and it was really well done. So I can guide you through it, because again, you've got to have what Napoleon Hill in his book Think and Grow Rich calls a burning desire. You've got to want it. And that's how you push through the fear. You know, I remember when I immigrated, I got thrown into school, and I discovered what bullies were for the first time. And I got my butt kicked on a regular basis because I didn't learn how to fight back. And then, you know, my mom, God bless her heart, proud Dutch woman that she is, thought it'd be a great idea to send me to school in those wooden shoes and the leather shorts the Germans wear for Oktoberfest, you know, the lederhosen. So I got my butt kicked again. And then I'd get chased home from school, and she'd chase them off with a fly swatter, and I'd get my ass kicked again. And so, you know, I developed this limiting belief that I wasn't good enough. And a lot of people have these limiting belief systems. And, you know, important thing to remember is there's a reason that the acronym for belief systems is BS, because 99% of them are. But again, when you've got this burning desire, then you're able to push through that. You're able to push through fear. You're able to push through limiting beliefs. You're able to get uncomfortable. You know, the quality of your life, and this is a Tony Robbins quote, the quality of your life is in direct proportion to the amount of discomfort you can live with, okay? So, you know, when you've got that burning desire, you might get knocked down 99 times, but you're going to get up 100, okay? And so, you know, and you've also got to love what it is you do. And I usually don't say this early on, but if you don't love this multifamily business yet, you can associate pleasure with it and learn to love it. Okay. And I would say what I tell my students is equate it to hunting for buried treasure. Okay. But let me say this to you. If you can't learn to love it, for God's sakes, go do something else. Life is too short. Okay. So let me I want to describe my goal setting. How much do I have? Do I have an hour, or how much time do I have, guys? Let me know, because I don't want to go
take your time, man. Like
okay,
45 minutes to an hour. I mean, we want to do a little Q&A at the end.
All right. So I want to describe my goal setting process just real quick with you, because it's really very, very powerful. So you can do this yourself, or again, if you DM me, I'll send you the link and I'll guide you through it. But let me describe it. So what you want to do is you want to pick an hour when you have a lot of energy. So make sure you're well hydrated. If you get tired at night, drink some water, because you're likely dehydrated. Don't do it after a meal, and sit down and write down everything you could ever possibly want in life. All the stuff: houses, cars, boats, jet skis, planes. Take the lid off your brain. Imagine if you write it down, you're going to get it, which is not outside the realm of reality. Because what it does is it triggers something in your brain called your reticular activating system. And what that is, it's a subconscious filter. You're not consciously aware of it, but what it does, your brain subconsciously points you in the direction that it thinks you're interested in. And the greatest example is when you first buy a car. You never really notice them. You buy the car, you see them everywhere. Were they there before? Of course they were. That's your reticular activating system. And the same thing works for your goals. So just writing them down starts that process. And then the more, of course, you reassociate with them, the better to keep that process going. But I want to tell you, take the lid off your brain, because, you know, if you want a private island, a jet, a yacht, whatever it is, write it down, because there's nothing you can't do, be, or have. Okay. Once you can't think of any more stuff, I also want you to write down all the things you want to do in your lifetime. You know, the places you want to visit. Maybe you want to write a book. You know, maybe you want to, you know, I've got a friend that's climbing every mountain over 14,000 feet, something like that. Bucket list stuff. I jumped out of a perfectly good airplane 3 years ago. I'll never freaking do it again, but it's off the bucket list, right? So stuff like that, write that down. Then I also want you to write down, so everything you want to have. Oh, also write down how much cash flow you're going to make from your multifamily investment, say in 3 years, and then again in 10 years. Write down how much cash you're going to have in the bank, say in 3 years and in 10 years. You know, your case, you know, what hits the fan fund. Right. So write down everything you want to do. Then also write down everything you want to learn. Okay. You want to learn a foreign language. You're here learning multifamily. Again, you really, guys, if you're really serious about learning this business, you really should come to Denver. Let me just do a quick plug for that. I'll give you a code so you can come for 190. Well, actually, I don't even have to give you a code. The price right now is $197. And it's 3 days of training, and I don't sell anything. There's no sales pitch. Okay. It's just training. And so, and it's drinking through a fire hose. I'm going to tell you that, but it's 3 full days of training for $197. So it's really more about the time than the money. Okay. And, you know, and I give people an opportunity to get into my coaching if they want, but it's not a sell. It's just like, if you want to meet with my team, fine. If not, no big deal. You'll leave there with a ton of knowledge. And many people on this call have been to my boot camps. But anyway, I'll put the code in. It's in the if somebody would type multifamily bootcamp in the .com in the chat, that'd be great. So anyway, you're going to write down all the things you want to learn, and then lastly, write down who you want to help. Why? Because we'll do more for others than we'll ever do for ourselves. And you want to use this. Again, this is the fuel to get you to take action. Okay. So write down who you want to help. And then once you've got everything, you can't think of another thing. And if you're analytical, don't stop and analyze. You can always scratch it out later. Just keep the pen writing everything you can think of. And you know, like I bought my parents a house here in Florida when my dad was alive, and bought him a car, took him on cruises. Write down who you're going to do things for. All right. Now, once you can't think of another thing, I want you to, there's a couple more steps. I want you to put a time limit on each goal. Put a 1, a 3, a 5, even a 10 or a 20. How many years it's going to take you to achieve the goal? 1, 3, 5, 10, 20. Recognizing that as human beings, we'll overestimate what we can do in a year and massively underestimate what we can do in 5, 10, 20 years. I'll give you an example of this. Now, I'm going to give you some personal examples. Please know I'm not bragging. I don't need to impress anybody anymore. I used to think that was important. I don't. So please know that. I just want to inspire you. Okay. So back when I lived in Denver, I knew I wanted to live on the beach. And there's no beach in Denver, but I would visualize the palm trees and the sand and the surf and all that stuff. 20 years later, I built this $8 million, 10,000 square foot mansion on the beach. And I mean, this place was spectacular, but that was unthinkable when I was 18. So again, take the lid off your brain and write down anything you could possibly want. So you put a time limit on each goal. I want you to pick your number one goal. I mean, that goal, when you get it, you're like, oh my God, this is amazing. That goal, you know, you've arrived when you achieve that goal. Circle that goal, or put it on another piece of paper. I'm sorry, put that on a separate sheet of paper, your number one goal. Then I want you to pick your top 3 one-year goals and put those on a separate sheet of paper. So you've got 4 goals on a separate sheet of paper. And I will tell you something. At this point, you are ahead of 99% of the people on the planet that do a New Year's resolution that's forgotten by February. But there's a couple more quick steps. You know, here's what's sad. People spend more time planning a birthday party or a Christmas party than they do designing their lives. This is designing your life, guys. Okay. So, all right. So you've picked your 4 goals off, the number one goal, top 3 goals off to the side. Now I want you to write down why every one of those goals is an absolute freaking must to achieve, not a should, why it absolutely has to happen. And here's the thing. You want to use emotionally charged words when you're writing your whys down. You know, words like amazing and beautiful and incredible. You might say, so I can show my kids what incredible success looks like. So I can show my husband or wife what it means to live a life of amazing abundance. So we can have incredible freedom to do whatever we want, whenever we want, wherever we want, bring whoever we want, you know, whatever's going to juice you, that's what you're going to put in there for your whys. Okay. But use those words. They're very powerful. Words will move you. Once you've got a positive reason why under each one of those goals, I want to take it one step further. We're almost done. Put some pain in there if you don't achieve the goal. Here's why. As human beings, we'll do more to avoid pain than gain pleasure. And you want to use this. This is the juice to get your butt up early on, to work this, to work late, to work Saturdays, to grind for a few years like most people won't, so you can live the rest of your life like most people can't. So put some pain in there so I don't feel like a failure, so I don't fail my kids. So I don't live a life of regret. I mean, make it hurt. Again, this will do more to avoid that. So you want to use this as the fuel. You know, let's talk about regret for a second. There was this nurse in Australia, a hospice nurse, and we're about to put my mom in hospice. So this is, I just saw my mom this weekend. So this is resonating with me. And so she was a hospice nurse. Her name was Bronnie Ware. And she asked her patients a question. You know, they were close to death. She said, do you have any regrets? You know what the number one regret was? Was not living the life I could have lived, living somebody else's life, not doing what I know I'm capable of. Guys, I can't think of anything worse than that. She wrote a book about it. Like I said, that it's called The 5 Regrets of Dying. So make sure that that you you take this seriously, because I can't think of anything worse than that. If you fear failure, I'm going to tell you, fear regret much more than failure. So anyway, you've got your positive and negative reasons why you have to achieve those goals. Last thing, go get pictures. Go get pictures. I've got vision boards behind my green screen here. You can kind of see them on the floor there, next to my recliner. Get pictures, put them around you. And let me give you some examples of this. I'll give you a couple public examples. You can make declarations as well to people, that believe in you. For example, Jim Carrey, when he was flat broke, wrote himself a check. I'm talking about the actor, the comedian, wrote himself a check for $10 million when he was flat broke. He used to go up by the Hollywood sign and he'd look at it and visualize cashing it. That's how much money he made for Dumb and Dumber. I'll give you a more recent example. Demi Lovato, the singer. When she was unknown, like about 12 years ago, posted on social media, one day I'm going to sing the national anthem in the Super Bowl. Go watch the Super Bowl before this last one. See who sang it. I'll give you some personal examples for me. When I turned 18, I was a real estate broker, so I figured I had to get a 4-door car. So I got this bone ugly piece of crap 4-door Granada, bench seat in the front. I mean, just a real piece of you-know-what. And so but I figured that's what I had to have. But the guy I worked for that taught me about mindset, he had a couple of Corvettes and he let me drive one because I dated his daughter. And I drove that thing. I'm like, oh my God. And so I got a picture of a Corvette out of a magazine, this way before the internet. And I put that on the visor of my Granada. So every time I sat in there, it was right there in front of me. Within a year or two, I had a Corvette. A couple more examples. This is back when the TV show Magnum PI was out. Actor was Tom Selleck. And he was a detective in Hawaii, and he drove this Ferrari 308. And I saw that first time I saw an exotic car. I'm like, oh my God. So I got a picture of that actual car, put on the visor of that Corvette. Within a year or two, I had a Maserati, looked just like it. Last example, and please know, again, I'm not bragging. This stuff doesn't even interest me anymore, but replace this with what you want. So this is, I've always wanted a Lamborghini. I mean, since I was a freaking kid, and I had posters in my room. My son collected models of exotic cars. He had an exact same model of the color and style that I ended up getting. He had like 40 cars, but I had an exact same model of what he got. So again, in fact, let me show you something. Here's my planner. Yes, I'm a dinosaur. I use a paper planner. Okay, it's on the 13th today. In the back of this thing, I've got pictures that have been in here for 22 years. Okay, you can see how dog-eared they are. Well, first pictures are my gratitude pictures. Why? Because everything you get in life comes through gratitude. This is how you manifest it. My kids are 30 and 26. So these are pictures of my kids when they were young. Okay, my gratitude pictures. Okay, then I've got pictures of the stuff that I wanted. That house on the beach I was telling you about, I lost that and all the craziness, but this is what it looked like. I had 10-foot high glass, butt together, 85 feet of glass like that, travertine floors. It was just like that before I built it. Now, what's crazy, I lost that and all the craziness. Now I live in a compound. I've got 6 buildings, big main house, beautiful 2-bedroom guest house on the water, media building where I built a video studio now because I do my events virtual sometimes. And look at those bottom pictures. See those white walls in those pictures? Okay, that's my backyard. See the white wall? Is that freaking crazy? And this is, again, I've had this in here for 22 years. Then I've got stupid crap, like I've got a few $100,000 worth of watches. That's still a vice, I will say that. I had that Lamborghini before I ever bought it. Rolls Royce, Bentley, all the stuff that I got because I had pictures. And again, this stuff may not interest you, but replace it with what does. This stuff works, okay? Trust me. All right, so again, why do you do all that? Because you create burning desire. And that's what's going to get you to push through the fear and actually take action. You got to be hungry. Then what do? You got to make a decision. Okay. The Latin root for the word decision means to cut off. If you're going to take the island, you're burning your ships because you're taking their damn ships home. Okay. That's a decision. It's not a 1 foot in, 1 foot out sort of thing. It is freaking done. Okay. That's a decision. When you make a decision, you're like a train on a track. Okay. Now, if you just say you're interested, you're not committed, you're going to get knocked off track, right? When you're committed like that, then you take massive action, and it's not just a dream anymore, it's an outcome. So, I'm going to tell you, motivation will get you started, but you got to make that decision and then commit, okay? So, and then when you do commit, you'll have 100% clarity, you'll have 100% responsibility, and you'll own every aspect of your life. The next thing I want to mention is you need to have positive expectation. Okay. It's so easy. You know, everyone on this call is a leader. And right now, more than ever, you as a leader, you've got to pay attention to what you're focused on. Don't get me started on the freaking fake news and the crap that's on the news right now. You've got to stand guard at the door to your mind. Bring in the good stuff. Okay. You know, like every week on my podcast, I do a clip called Own Your Power. And it's different topics every week. They're 5 minutes. If you listen to my podcast called Lifetime Cash Flow Through Real Estate Investing, I'll juice you. You give me 5 minutes a week, I'll juice you. They're very motivational. I'm really proud of them and I love doing them. So, you know, but even if it's not me, go on YouTube, watch motivational stuff there, because here's the thing. You know, it's so easy to focus on struggle and pain. You know, it would have been easy for me to succumb to losing everything. And people, you killed themselves for losing less. Well, back then they killed themselves for that much, and back in the Great Depression as well. I mean, you know, and so it would have been easy for me to succumb to that and be a pity party. But, you know, what's sad is most people focus on what they don't want instead of what they do want. But here's the thing, you've got to expect to win, because if you expect to win or you expect to lose, either way, you're going to get what you expect, right? So, you know, when you decide what you want and you declare it to God or the universe, whatever you believe, God or the universe will conspire to help you make it happen. So again, think big, expect amazing things. You're going to get amazing things, you know, and like I say, stand guard at the door to your mind. Just really be careful who you associate with, who you hang out with. And also remember this. You know, you choose the meaning of what happens to you. You know, my meaning for losing everything in 2008 is I wouldn't have met my wife. And if you've ever seen my wife, she's freaking supermodel beautiful, but she's also more beautiful on the inside than the outside. And so I wouldn't have had her if it hadn't happened. And so, you know, that's so remember, whatever happens to you, you can change the meaning to serve you instead of hold you back. Remember that if you've had something happen to you. And so we talked about fear and limiting beliefs. You know, I told you about, you know, getting my butt kicked and you know, and I got humiliated on the playground once because I had a crush on this girl and she embarrassed me in front of a bunch of kids. And again, I came up with this belief system, this BS belief system, that I wasn't good enough. And a lot of people have these, you know, I'm not old enough. I'm not young enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not analytical enough, you know, whatever. And again, remember, there's a reason the acronym is BS. You know, these belief systems come about because we had something happen to us, sometimes just subconsciously, but our brain you know, it was an emotional moment and our brain thinks it's factual and it's not. So if you have one of those BS belief systems, what I'd tell you to do, and this is how you get around it, because I mean, I used to be afraid to raise my hand in class that I get embarrassed or humiliated. And so, well, here's the key. You bring it out in the daylight. You look at it with your adult rational mind, and it will diminish when you do that. But it doesn't happen overnight. You got to, every time it comes out, you have to consciously, that's the operative word, consciously pull it out, look at it, recognize that it's BS, and it will diminish to nothing. I mean, I speak in front of thousands of people a year now. And I mean, again, that's the thought of that before I dealt with it was unthinkable because, you know, I had such an insecurity about it. All right. And then once you've made that decision, you've got to take that first step, you know, and here in multifamily, it's the law of the first deal. Okay. You know, I see it with my students, you know, and let me tell you something I'm really proud of. Okay. I've been teaching a little over 4 years. My students now they own well over 60,000 units. And I do this because I love it. Let me show you something. Okay. There's some of the, oh, you can't even see them all. They're all over here. Hundreds of thank you cards I get from my students because, you know, because they've kicked ass, and I'm really proud of that. Now I probably won't be able to put this down. You guys have to look at my recliner. There we go. All right. Anyway, so you know, I do this because I love it, and so that's, like I said, I'll never work another day in my life. When you love what you do, work is play, and you don't work. But I see in my students this law of the first deal. It takes them 6 months, 8 months, sometimes even a year, and they're like whining and complaining, but they keep going, and then they get one, and the next thing you know, they have 5. You know, and so you know, they realize that it's all in their brain for the most part. And so just remember this, you don't have to see the whole staircase. Okay. Dr. Martin Luther King said, take that first step in faith and the next step will be revealed. Lao Tzu said the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, but you got to take that first step. You got to take action. And remember this, those of you that are analytical, you don't have to know the whole path. Okay, you can drive across the United States at night seeing 50 feet in front of you, and you know you'll make it. Because why? And you may have some obstacles, you may have some things pop up, but other people have done it, and you know you'll make it. And so, it's the same thing with your goals. It's the same thing with this business, but you just got to go take action. And action mitigates fear, okay? Just remember, guys, this life is not a dress rehearsal. All right, the next thing I want to talk about is focus. Focus is power, okay? Wherever your focus goes, your energy is going to flow. And again, as a leader, it's so important to direct your focus to things that are positive. Don't get sucked into the crap that's out there on the news, for example. But when you have incredible focus, you have incredible success, okay? And this is important too. Whatever you focus on is going to get larger, like I said. So if you focus on the news or negative stuff, that's going to get bigger. I get people that call me and say, how do I get rid of student loan debt? And I say, wrong question. Ask yourself how you make so much money that that's freaking irrelevant. I'll give you another example. They asked Mother Teresa when she was alive if she was anti-war. She said, no, I'm pro-peace. See, that's just focus, right? And I remember, I built 27 businesses. I was shocked when I counted them a while back. And I don't, by the way, I don't call my failures. I call them seminars. That was a $50 million seminar. It was a big seminar. It was an expensive seminar, but I built 27 businesses. Several have been worth tens of millions of dollars. Most have been spectacular flaming seminars. But the reason I bring that up is I remember back in Denver, I had these frozen yogurt shops, 2 frozen yogurt shops. I had vending carts selling ice cream bars downtown Denver. I had a carpet cleaning business, and I was doing real estate, and everything suffered because my focus was diluted, right? The minute I got rid of everything except the real estate, I bought 500 properties in that next run. See, so it's so important to minimize distractions, okay? And minimize decisions as well. Typically, you'll always see me in one of these black V-necks. People ask me, yes, I have about 100 of them. And it's because I don't have to make decisions. So it's like, I don't have to think, what am I going to wear to this presentation tonight? I went and put on a black t-shirt. You wouldn't have liked to see the one I was on earlier, but that's the point. I don't have to think about it. Decision fatigue is a real thing. That's another thing. I don't know about you, but sometimes I'll be watching a movie and I'll be scrolling through freaking social media. Here's why that's bad. Okay. And I know better myself, and I still do it sometimes myself. Why? Because your brain is making micro decisions every split second, which hurts your ability to focus. Okay. And so, in fact, I'll give you a really kind of illuminating example about focus to me. So I don't listen to many podcasts. I listen to Joe Rogan now, but I also listen to Tim Ferriss. And Tim Ferriss interviews the best of the best in the world at what they do. So that, actors like Jamie Foxx, Ed Norton, Arnold Schwarzenegger, best athletes, Michael Phelps, and on, and politicians and billionaires like Ray Dalio, and on and on. And I started to hear a pattern. So he deconstructs how they did their success. That's his claim to fame, is that deconstructing that process. And I started to hear a pattern. They all meditate. What does meditation enhance? Focus, right? So remember, focus is really, really important. The next thing I want to mention is, especially in this business, is playing to your strengths. I'm sure if you haven't learned this already, you're going to learn that this business is a team sport. It's not something you do on your own. You do it in a team. And when you're playing to your strengths and your partners are playing to their strengths, I mean, success is inevitable, guys, okay? Your strengths are your greatest assets. I would tell you, don't focus on maximizing your weaknesses. Yeah, I mean, you can get better at them, but success comes much faster when you maximize your strengths. Hire, align, or partner for your weaknesses, okay? And like I said, when you love what you do, because this business is a team sport, you're going to need to influence other people. When you love what you do, you're going to be passionate about it. And passion is what you'll have used to influence other people to work with you and invest with you and sell to you and so on and so forth. So if you don't know what your strengths are, do a Myers-Briggs profile, or you can do what's called a DISC profile, D-I-S-C. In fact, Tony Robbins has a free one online, DISC profile. It's very accurate, okay, to see what your strengths and weaknesses are. Or you could ask some of your friends. They'll be happy to tell you what your weaknesses are. But here's the thing, guys, play to your strengths in this business, there's lots of different areas you can get into. If you're outgoing like me, you can build relationships with brokers, investors, partners, other people. If you're more analytical, you can do the underwriting. If you're more process driven, maybe you've done some management, or you've got some construction background or project management, any of that stuff, you can do the asset management. So there's just lots of places for you to hang your hat and add value to a team and kick butt in this business. But again, play to your strengths, because when you do, you're going to be passionate, you're going to be able to influence, and you're going to be happy. Okay. And like I said, that passion and that passion is what will allow you to influence, and success in this business requires that, right? So, that passion really is the fuel, and then you're in the zone. People feel it. They want to be around you. They want to be near you. So don't settle, my friends. Don't play small. Discover what juices you, play there, do that. Passion also breeds creativity and innovation. And when you're passionate, it minimizes or even eliminates fear. And again, that all comes from loving what you do. And like I said, if you don't love it now, associate pleasure with the piece that you think you'd love, learn to love it. And if you can't learn to love it, for God's sakes, do something else. All right, now I want to talk about peer group. Who you show me your 3 best friends, I'll show you who you are, okay? Because who you hang out with is who you become, okay? You are absolutely the sum total. I know you've heard this before, but you are the sum total of the 5 people you hang out with. And so both professionally and personally, okay? So be very careful, be proactive who you hang out with. Like in this incredible group you're here. I mean, you've got so many freaking rock stars on this group. It's crazy, okay? And recognize this, that a rising tide lifts all ships, and sometimes well-meaning people will hold you back out of their fear, or their jealousy, or maybe their fear of being left behind, or really being shown by your success how inadequate they are. And sometimes it's family, okay? And I will tell you, if that's the case, love your family, but choose your freaking peers. Choose who you allow to influence you. Be very careful when you've got that dream and you're telling them you're going to do multifamily. Be very careful who you share that with, because at first that dream is a fragile thread, and that thread can be broken if you're not careful. So, you want to be around people that push you and hold you accountable. That's the reason my warriors are absolutely kicking ass. I mean, 60,000 doors in the amount of time that I've been teaching. And most of those deals have been done between warriors, okay? So you can bounce and that's why it's so important to have a group like this to bounce ideas off of, to bounce deals off of, and connect with people that'll hold you accountable. I remember when I was losing everything in 2008, I happened to be in Tony Robbins' Platinum Partnership, and there were people in there who were thriving. They're like, 50 grand, just get up, you big pussy, and go back to work again. It was like, and that's what I needed right then. I needed to be told to just go make it happen and quit whining. And so be around people that will be encouraged and excited about your success, not threatened by it. Very, very important. People that are going to push you, people that think what you think is hard is easy. Now, I started my own mastermind, and there's 4 or 5 people in this group that are in it. And, I had 16 people come to my house initially. There was about $1 billion in assets. And I paid for everything. I just wanted to see if it was as exciting as I thought it was going to be. And it was incredible. I mean, so many nuances when, all those different success stories, nuances I can't teach from stage, people that have done things I haven't done, and so on and so forth. And so I formalized it. Now I have really effectively the largest multifamily mastermind in the world. There's about, I don't know, probably 16 billion in assets in there now. And so, Ben and Ferris are in there, and John, Anton, and anyway, but again, I did that because I want to be around people that think what I think is hard is easy. So again, that's like this group here, guys. And so be very, very careful with your peer group. If you're going to play tennis, who do you want to play? Somebody that's better than you, or somebody that's worse than you? Right? I mean, you know the answer. And so again, be very, very choosy who you allow to influence you and where you spend your time. All right, now let's talk about success habits, okay? There are good habits that support you and empower you, and there are habits that take you down. Like me getting McDonald's to go look at this apartment complex tonight. That is a bad habit that takes me down. Okay. You know what they are, and they don't mean much at that time, but taken out over time, they take your life up or down, right? There's a book I give my students called The Slight Edge, just about that. Those little decisions you make every day that take your life up or down. I'll give you some more books while I'm thinking about it. A great book is The 5 Love Languages. My love language happens to be gifts. And so, and I got to have the author on my show, which was cool because I've given away thousands of copies of his books. But, everybody feels love a certain way. If you don't have that book, if you have not read that book, you're crazy. Go get that book so that whoever you love, you can show them love in the way they feel it. But my love language is gifts. So I give lots of gifts. One of them is A Slight Edge. Another great book is Turning Pro by Stephen Pressman, about stop being an amateur and be a freaking professional, right? That's another one. Of course, Gary Keller's one thing. I had his co-author on the show, Jay Papasan. Hal Elrod, The Miracle Morning, incredible book. Had him on the show, super guy. I could go on and on. There's a few for you. The Magic of Thinking Big, Canfield. I love that book too. So there's some real good ones. So anyway, let's talk about habits a little more. You want to pay attention to habits for success because it's very often to get into these habits that don't serve you, and you want to redirect, any negative habits into good habits, because your habits, I'm going to tell you, will make you or break you. You change your habits, you can change your life. Okay. So success habits, like focusing on and having clarity around your goals, like we talked about, focusing on results instead of busy work. There's one. When I was losing everything, I was kind of doing busy work, and I got a coach that had me focus on income generating activity. What a concept, right? Taking massive freaking action. Action mitigates almost everything, guys. So action is huge. Being relationship and team driven. That's another success habit. Staying healthy. I'm going to tell you, to do this, to do your core job or business and do this side hustle of multifamily and have a family and have kids and everything else takes incredible energy. So pay attention to that. Exercise, eat well, again, just because that's what it's going to take. And I've got lots of students that have retired from very high paying jobs because, but they've done it on the side because they've maintained their energy and they're out and positive energy and made it happen. So, and another habit would be having self-discipline around things like energy, of course, and health, but work as well. All right. The next thing I want to talk about is tenacity. Okay. And I mean like unrelenting, not giving up tenacity. There's a book called 3 Feet from the Gold. It's about this miner that gave up 3 feet from a massive gold mine. Okay. True story, actually. Now I remember back in 2010, when after I lost everything, I built this litigation support company, and I almost lost it. It was, I helped people save their homes. We helped thousands of families save their homes. I hated the business because it was negative, but we did a lot of good work. But in 2010, the end of 2010, it almost went bankrupt, and I had to innovate and pivot. And I did that, and I didn't give up, and I turned it into a $10 million company with 60 employees that I sold a few years ago. So you just can't quit. Grit. You got to have grit and determination and, staying power and endurance. And it means keep going even when you're tired. Okay. I'm going to tell you, I would say tenacity is probably one of the most important components of success. Tenacity is getting knocked down 99 times and getting up, 100. It's keeping your eye on the goal. It's, and I'm going to tell you, normal talent plus extraordinary tenacity always equals massive success. You decide, you take action, and you never give up. Even you keep going, even if it's the last freaking thing you feel like doing. It's courage, it's resolve, it's fortitude, it's toughness. And, and remembering that it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. If you're here in this, learning about this business because you think this is a get rich quick thing, you're in the wrong place. But I will say this is a become super freaking wealthy over time thing. Okay. Now I will tell you, one deal can change your life. A big deal can absolutely change your life. But if you're going to do this business, you're going to do it the rest of your life. You're going to do it for decades. And that's why you're building relationships, with people, the friendships, it's all relationships are friendships with people that you're going to do business with for a long, long time. But again, grit is remembering your mission. It's remembering that every setback and failure is nothing but a seminar. And if you're not getting setbacks, respectfully, you just aren't trying. Okay. So you know who you are, just own it. Okay. Grit is believing in your mission, living with passion, and recognizing and looking for that feedback. When I do a boot camp, As soon as you get home on Monday, you'll get a survey from me. And yeah, 99% of the feedback is incredible, but I'm looking for that 1% of constructive feedback so I can make it better every single time. I want to make it better. And, you know, remembering this as well, that it's only a failure if you fail. And again, I've had 27 businesses, most have failed. You know, it's only a failure if you know, you're like a shark. An entrepreneur is like a shark. You only die if you stop swimming, right? And it's only a failure if you give up or you didn't learn. You know, we failed our way to success, guys. Problems are actually a gift. Okay. Problems give you that feedback. And like I said, the only people that don't have problems either aren't trying or they're dead, frankly. Okay. And, you know, Henry Ford said an airplane takes off against the wind, right? Without problems, we don't change. We don't improve. We don't become better. So, you know, problems are learning opportunities. And again, if you have any problems, you're really not trying. You know, I got to meet another mastermind that it was in. I'm talking about the value of masterminds. I got to meet the billionaire owner of Spanx. Okay. The women, you know, the women's undergarments that holds it all together. Sarah Blakely, beautiful human being. And she told me that and she did, by the way, she started with $5,000. Okay. You want to talk about tenacity and just incredible success story. Started with 5,000. I think she just sold it for like a few billion. Anyway, she told me that her dad used to ask her and her brother once a week, what have you failed at this week? Is that an awesome freaking question to ask your kids? I wish I was still able to influence mine that much, because I would have asked them that for sure. All right, I'm about to land the plane here, but I want to start with, I want to end with a couple of things. One is, I told you the most important emotion we have to get what you want in life, frankly, and for anything else, is gratitude. It's a foundational emotion. You know, it makes us stronger when we face adversity. It even strengthens our immune system, makes our heart stronger, lowers our blood pressure, you know, brings us closer to our spirituality. And I remember, you know, and I teach my students in this weekly planning process that I teach to keep a gratitude journal of magic moments that they have. And in fact, I did one for my wife where it was about 100 pages, and every day I filled a page with what I loved about her and what I liked about her and just beautiful things about her. And there were days I did not freaking want to write in that thing, but you can imagine writing that stuff. I showed up differently, right? I showed up because I was focused on, again, focus is power. I was focused on what I love about her, and I gave it to her for her birthday. So you can imagine how, I mean, it's in her little shrine is her closet, okay? And it's right there on the counter in her closet. Listen, gratitude attracts what you want into your life, which is why when you're going to manifest, if you pray, whatever it is, you know, I will sit in this recliner behind me, and I'll just do gratitude for the things that I have, my beautiful wife, my amazing kids, my foundation, my students, and I'll just do gratitude. But then I'll do gratitude for the things that I want as if I already have them. Say, thank you, God, and visualize having these things. And I know some of you are going, oh, for God's sakes, why didn't I do real estate tonight? Well, trust me, this stuff works, and it's bigger than real estate, okay? Because it'll get you the real estate. So you know, and I'll do great. Sometimes I get emotional being grateful for things I don't even have yet. And I know I've lost a few of you, but this is how I had 50 million to lose and how I got it back. So, you know, trust me, this stuff works, guys. And, you know, and every morning I do that, and then I'll do a little declaration. It's going to be a great day. I'll do that. It takes 3 minutes. You know, I'll sit back there and do gratitude. And guys, this is how you pull it together. Trust me, I'll look at the vision boards. If I can't visualize it, I'll look at the vision boards. All right, last example I want to give you that ties into goals. I told you about that house on the beach. I mean, that I built, you know, it took me 20 years to build it. I mean, this place was spectacular. Giant waterfall from the second floor balcony into the pool. Pool was in magazines. It was spectacular. I had like $20,000 in trees that bent out over the pool and then went up. You know, I had a wine cellar, elevator, you know, a giant spiral staircase up through the middle of the house. On the second floor, I had aquariums that wrapped around the staircase that cost me almost 200 grand. So this gives you an idea of the house. And this was 15 years ago, or more than that, actually. So 2 months after I moved in, I worked for this thing for 20 freaking years, okay? 2 months after I moved in, 20 years, 2 months, I'm floating in the pool at night. You know, pool's changing colors. It's got fiber optic lighting. And I'm looking up at this testament to my ego, which is really what it was. It was to prove the world I was good enough. You know, I told you, you know, I felt like I wasn't good enough. And I'm looking up at this thing, and I got depressed. And I don't mean just a little bummed. I mean, I was really bummed. I'm like, what the hell? I mean, I've got the beautiful family in the house. I got the Maserati, the Benzes, and the toys, and the car house. And how could I possibly be depressed? Well, this is what I want to share with you guys. You need the goals, but it's never about the goals. It's about who you become on your path to the goals. Okay. And it's like the good book says, without a vision, the people perish. You need a vision for the future. And I didn't know what the hell I was going to do next. So that's number one. Number two is happiness doesn't come from the goals. You know, they say the happiest days of a boat owner's life are the day they buy the boat and the day they sell the boat, right? And so you need them to create that burning desire. But happiness actually comes from progress and growth. And so like when I teach my planning process, my weekly planning process, one of the steps is to acknowledge any progress that you made, no matter how small, because you're going to have setbacks. You're going to have delays. But if you're celebrating your progress, you're going to be happy. Okay. So that was the second thing that was going on. But the biggest thing that was going on that I want to share with you is I had been totally focused on me. Rod, show the world I matter. Well, that's the year I went and saw Tony Robbins, and I found out that he fed families for the holidays. And I'm like, you know, what a concept. Do something for someone else. I'm embarrassed to say I had to be 40 to get that memo. And so I went back home, and I called my brother in Denver because I was going there for Thanksgiving. I said, hey, we're going to feed 5 families for Thanksgiving. So he went to his church and found 5 families that really needed help. And we went and bought food. We bought toys for the kids. We bought frozen turkeys, and it was just a lot of fun buying this stuff. And the third family changed my life. We go up to this house, and it was a row house where they have little 1 bedrooms. It wasn't even a 1 bed. It was a crappy 1 bedroom. You had to walk through the bedroom to get to the kitchen, which had the bathroom off of it. Woman was in there with 5 kids, Latin woman. And she comes out and she sees the toys and the food and the turkey and all the stuff on the porch. She starts crying. Her kids come out. 2 of the older ones start crying. I start crying, and I'm freaking hooked. And I'm blessed to say in the last 22 years, we've fed somewhere between 110, 120,000 children here in Sarasota and Bradenton, Florida. We've also done tens of thousands of backpacks filled with school supplies to local children. Astounding. We live in the greatest country on earth and kids don't have supplies for school. We've done tens of thousands of teddy bears to local police departments for officers to keep in their vehicles if they encounter a child, you know, that's been traumatized, so they can comfort the child. Now, I'm not telling you this to brag, okay? There's a message here, an important message. And that is, you know, we've been taught, I mean, I know there's people on this call right now, they're hungry, they want success so bad. And we've been taught to achieve to be happy, okay? Like we shouldn't be happy until we've achieved, right? I'm going to tell you, you know, Tony Robbins calls it the science of achievement versus the art of fulfillment. Achievement really is a science. If you're going to learn this multifamily, for God's sakes, come spend 3 days with me in Denver. You'll be off to the freaking races, you know, and of course, continue to participate in this group. But fulfillment is science of achievement. The art of the fulfillment is an art. Okay. He calls it the science of achievement, the art of fulfillment. Fulfillment is an art because you have to figure out what you love and what juices you. For me, it's kids. Maybe for you, it's the elderly. Maybe it's animals. Maybe it's the environment. But I'm going to tell you, incorporate some, if you're not already, I'm sure many of you already are, but if you're not incorporating some way of giving back right now, do it immediately. Don't say, I'll do it when I have money. Do it right now because the money will come faster. Okay. And you don't do it for that reason, but that's why you do it. And that way you'll be happily achieving, because I really was unfulfilled. I was totally focused on me. So anyway, I'll leave you with that. Yeah, the joy of giving. That's right, Tracy. And so that's all I got. Hopefully you got a little value, guys.
Tons of golden nuggets, man. You know,
Thanks,
I think what I love about you, Rod, is that, you know, you really do start with that motivational, the mindset, the goal planning. And that's just something that in our industry was just not a thing. It was just like, check on the spreadsheet and, talk to brokers and this and that. But people were really needing, in a lot of ways, to get started. They need that push, and they need to be doing it for the right reasons too. Right. Yeah. So I always love your energy, man. You always come.
Oh, thanks, brother. Thanks.
I mean, you're rattling that thing off. You didn't need a presentation at all, man. You had that. Well,
thank you. I think it's the most important piece. Let me just say this. If you guys are interested in my boot camp, it's multifamilybootcamp.com. It's $197 for 3 days of training. You've been there. You've been on panels there. Ferris, you, Anton, you've all been there, and Rodney, and John. I think maybe you even suffered through one once. But anyway, there's no sales pitch. I used to sell the coaching. I don't even do that anymore. Just come, learn. And if you come and you don't love it, I don't mean like it, I mean freaking love it, let me know, I'll give you your money back. Okay. And there's always a first time for everything, but I'd love to see you there if you can make it. It's a blast. And this business is about networking like you're doing here, and there'll be 1,000 people there. That's what we're anticipating. So it'll be a lot of fun. And I hope I see some of you there. And if not, I hope you listen to my podcast. It's called Lifetime Cash Flow. And I'm really proud of that too. But I appreciate you guys having me here. Happy to take a question or two if anybody has it. There's usually not a lot of questions around. Thank you, Troy. Hey, Marif, good to see your name. Thanks, Lewis.
I'm gonna shamelessly ask a question. All right.
Sure.
You made it through 8, 9, and 10, right?
Mm-hmm.
Lost $50 million, gained it back, right? I think this is a real estate question.
Okay.
So, ultimately, what is everybody has their opinion. If we all had a crystal ball, we'd be a lot more wealthy, right? But what are you thinking? Are you seeing some semblances to what was kind of happening in 2006 and 2007 up to
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. It feels like it's frothing. But of course, listen, I did a YouTube video about the coming real estate crash, and I got so much hate. Most watched video, of course, because people want negative news, right? So, but I was wrong. My daughter loves to tell me you're tired of being wrong. But listen, I don't think it's going to happen. Anything's going to happen this year just because of the elections. But next year, I got to tell you, I mean, look at inflation and everything. I mean, I don't want to go down a political rabbit hole with this, but it's a little scary what's going on right now. And so, I mean, the demand is still there, huge demand, pent up demand for housing. So it's really kind of weird right now, but who knows, John Montiero probably knows better than I do on that one. But, if I had that crystal ball, I'd already be on the back of my yacht. So, yeah.
One last question. You also did single family. Now you're doing multifamily. Why?
Let me talk about that. Okay. Cause I get that all the time. I had 800 houses, 2 hours one direction, 2 hours the other direction along the Gulf Coast of Florida. And I had several apartment complexes. It was the houses that pulled me down. Now, listen to this. I was at a 30% loan to value and I still crashed and burned. Okay. People are like, oh, you're probably over leveraged. No, I was not over leveraged. So here's what happened. First of all, there's no state income tax in Florida. So property taxes are higher. I had some properties in wind and flood zones. Insurance is higher, both which impact cash flow, right? But here's what really killed me. If I had a maintenance issue at one of my apartment complexes, everything's the same. Plumbing parts are the same. The locks, the HVAC appliances, we stockpile parts. Maintenance guys in and out in an hour. Well, if I had to send a maintenance guy to one of my properties that's an hour away, hour and a half away, they got to get there. They got to see what's wrong. Then they got to go find a Home Depot or a Lowe's where we have an account. That could be an hour round trip. And I don't know about you, but when Rod's happy ass goes to Home Depot, I end up going more than once, almost every single time. Okay. And it's the same with maintenance guys. They dig in and they realize they need more stuff. And so what took an hour at one of my apartment complexes took all day at one of my 800 C-class houses. Okay. Now these were C-class. So as you know, tougher demographic, a lot more maintenance. Okay. Older, a lot more maintenance. And so that really killed me. But the coup de grace was I didn't pay any attention to demographics. If they had good credit and they had a good job and they paid the rent, they got the place. Well, most of my renters were contractors, believe it or not, plumbers, electricians, drywallers, roofers, painters, which fell off a freaking cliff in 2009. They didn't have work. And so it was just like, and then you want to hear something crazy. My portfolio actually went negative. It dropped more than 70%. And then when I said, I'm out, I'm done. I hate it now because if I had those houses now or that property now, good God, but I wouldn't have met my wife. So again, that's my meaning. So anyway,
there you go, man.
But that's, here's the reason I went into multifamily, because my multifamily, if I hadn't cross collateralized it with packages of houses, I'd still have that multifamily. It dipped maybe about 11%, but I could have easily survived. But in my wisdom, I saved 50 basis points, 0.5% interest to consolidate with some local banks, and it all went. So, yeah. is
Nah,
what it
man.
is.
Well, no, we appreciate it, buddy. I got one question in the chat, and then we'll let you go, man.
Okay.
All right. So Ashton is asking, looking how to find funding on multifamilies in
In Puerto
PR.
Rico?
Yeah. Okay. Any
Oh, that's
creative
where I got
ideas?
married. I love Puerto
know.
Rico. Yeah, I'll tell you something, Ashton. There is so much money looking for a home right now. You find a sweet deal, and you can prove it's a sweet deal, and you're knowledgeable enough to be congruent and influential when you explain that sweet deal. You'll find the money. You might even find it from me. Okay, I happen to love Puerto Rico. I got married there, so but that would be what I would tell you. Maybe John, some of the other guys have other suggestions, but that would be my suggestion. I don't know what the lending environment is down there. I know their economy is in the toilet, but it's beautiful. They have incredible tax savings. I know a lot of very wealthy people that live there. In fact, economists that live there. Harry Dent and Peter Schiff both live there. So, there's a lot of advantages there, and it happens to be freaking gorgeous. So, yeah, hope that helps.
There you go. There you go. All right, buddy. Well, hey, Mr. Rod Khleif.
All right.
We
Good to see you guys. Great to see all your faces. Yeah, it's great to see you guys.
And we dropped the link for his boot camp, so check it out. I've been there. It's great stuff, great content, and even better networking. So check it out, folks. But hey, for everybody that wants to stay around, we're going to do a little bit of a breakout. So bear with me here. And
see you guys. Thank you. Take care, guys. I'll see you later.
Appreciate it, buddy.
See you.
So I'm going to go ahead and do some breakouts. We'll do a 10-minute session. We'll come back. We'll see if anybody wants to stay around. But let's go ahead and kick it off. And it just automatically does it. If I screw it up, I'm sorry. But I'm going to see if I can make it happen here. Hang tight. Assign, create, 1, 2, 3. Let's do 6 of these. All right, here we go. Open all rooms. All right, welcome back, everybody. Appreciate everybody sticking it out, especially this late at night. But I am going to go ahead and just keep it open for everybody. If you guys want to, I can see if I can unmute everybody. Tight. Ask all to unmute. There we go. We can have one massive talk here. If everybody wants to kind of hang out, I'm going to go ahead and hop off, hang out with my daughter for a little bit. But thank you. Check us out. We do this every month with our counterparts in DFW, the second Wednesday of every month. And so you guys are already on our list. So you'll get the recording of this one, and you'll be hearing about our future events as well. So, and we do like to have good guest speakers. So if you guys ever have any suggestions, we love to hear from you. But have a good one. Appreciate everybody.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Ben.
Thanks, Ben.
And be sure everyone put their info on the chat. So if you want people to reach out, you can do that. And there's 3 dots at the bottom to download the chat, so you can see that. And if anyone wants to reach out to me, all my contact info is on there, both the business and personal. So y'all can just connect with me on Calendly and go from there.
Awesome.
And then let's see. Yeah, you still got quite a few people on.
I've saved the chat a few times too.
Sweet. Well, I'm signing off, guys. If y'all have any questions, feel free to reach out.